Welcome to Redhead Rewriting Reality by Kim Iverson. The story of my life as I figure out who I am after a lifetime of abuse and share my journey with that. Sharing the story of building my author career, the struggles, bettering self, and creating a new life. I'm a multi-genre author who publishes under Kimberly Sue Iverson. If you'd like to explore my work, visit KimberlySueIverson.com. This audio is intended for an adult audience. Themes and topics may not be suitable for all audiences. Listener and viewer discretion is advised. Now, get yourself comfy and make yourself at home, and let's dive in. Patience ends where boundaries begin. I was going to bed the other night, and I had this one guy come to mind who I'd talked with last year or so. For context, he'd spoken to me on a social app I'd joined and wanted to get to know me, not as friends. I made very clear to him that one of the hardcore boundaries I have for that is time and patience, especially when it comes to talking to men online if they're an absolute stranger to me. I don't engage men that easy, more so if they're coming in hot or giving me lines and not being genuine and honest, because it's about trust. When I met my ex, I met him online. See how that went? It was rushed into because I allowed him to rush me, and events in my life made me step forward a bit faster. Not to mention, when I was in my early 20s, I didn't have such good boundaries. I also allowed others to dictate how I behaved because I'd been conditioned to. I didn't know the boundaries that I should have. I didn't know how to protect myself. I was the only one I had to rely on too. I didn't know how to take my time. I didn't know that when a guy is genuinely interested in you, he'll stick around. Even now, it's rare that I encounter anyone who leaves my life and doesn't eventually come back. It's just if it's in terms of the romantic sphere, if you have to leave me to realize my worth, I'll pass when you come back, when you realize you would like to try, realizing I'm actually a really good catch, because I want someone who doesn't have to leave me to realize I'm worth staying for. You can come back. We simply will not be in that space. Because if you have to leave me to discover my worth, you never valued me to begin with. I will have emotionally moved on. It's not like I'll completely shut the door on that to happen, but the likelihood that anything romantic will take place after, well, you'll have that much harder of time to convince me into that space again, because you left and a part of me has switched off. So if you want it switched back on, you have a ton of work to do. Otherwise, I wish you the best. I never have any ill will. If we don't work, we don't work. Not much one can do if either side doesn't match up with that person they're dealing with. I feel too many see the way I speak or act and misread me as this angry, jaded biatch who doesn't give anyone a chance. Okie dokes. If that's what you think, feel free to continue to do so. I'm not going to waste time convincing you of otherwise. When this guy approached me, It seemed like we had a lot in common. A lot of our interests matched up as usual. But then I noticed something too. The push to advance things along. Not take the time to get to know me at all. There was that, but I'm talking about one-on-one with me, talking to me, questioning me, sharing my day with me and he his, day in and day out continually. If you're building trust with a total stranger online, it's going to take time. You know that, right? Trust isn't built instantly. You are effectively some dude who is walking up to me on the street and expecting me to trust you. You are a total stranger. I'll repeat that a lot. There are lines I will not cross with you right off the bat. And yes, if a random dude approached me on the street, it's actually the same thing. You could have a bunch of dead bodies in the basement and decide that you have found the next. Ever see those news stories? He was always so nice, quiet. I never knew. I have known him forever. I never knew. She never gave any signs. Uh-huh. Oh, do you think that's way out of line? Well, you're definitely not a woman then, if that's not a reality you face with every interaction. You have also never dealt with someone who went from calm and collected to rage-filled because you said no, no thank you, or anything of that nature. Like, hi, how are you? And you're really beautiful. 2, you'd be really easy to find. Do you have a dick in your ear? You're the 3rd bitchy woman I've dealt with today. Get the fuck over yourself. That's after silence because I was busy, a no thank you, or telling them I don't engage in casual or shallow conversations, or me standing up for someone online and disagreeing with the other. I could go on. The amount of sludge I've heard online and even offline is a never-ending book. The best is often when after that sort of thing, I'm told I chose to do this or that. I chose to be online. I chose to be in the public eye. I've dealt with this offline, online, and both. I'm shamed for my choices, in other words. Go sit down, you shamer and guilter of the ones who dealt with it, versus the actual predators and abusers or bullies. Yes, you're way better than those others. After all, you're here shaming and dumping on the one it was done to because they are the easy target and not the one doing it. Because that abuser might actually target you next. But hey, at least you earned your I'm a great human being card for the day. You have done your due diligence in pretending that you're good and you care and you're offering help to people. I prioritize my personal safety first. You're not the one who is going to be in trouble if something goes wrong. You are not the one who has dealt with people who have been kind and turned into an angry, spewing, venom human in the next breath, who spent over 10 years stalking you, who you had to change everything about how you worked online and lived off because of them, who you had to ensure you had a big guard dog with you all the time, who then turns around and stalks the person then berates them, talks ill about them, proceeds to make their life a living hell online and off, or just online, or just off. You're not the one who has to potentially deal with the fallout if something goes wrong and could turn dark and dangerous. So if you have a problem with my boundaries, with anyone's boundaries, that is a severe issue for you, not that other person. Don't judge all by one. If you were bit by a dog as a child, will you grow up to believe all dogs are good creatures? Don't try me with that line. Yes, it's a line. A line people will use to try to justify behavior. I'm not like the rest. So if one snake doesn't have fangs, and it's in a group of snakes who does have fangs, then why aren't you willing to just grab one of those snakes and take it home? Why must you take your time to try to assess which snake has the fangs and will be able to cause you harm? Just grab one. Don't judge all by one. Please. I'm a good person. I'd never do such a thing. Please repeat the above scenario. Only include every one of those snakes telling you they're good. They're not gonna hurt you, they swear. Which one you gonna trust right off the bat? How dare you actually hesitate? Just grab one and go home with it. Sleep with it. Love on it. Keep it forever. Again, please, do not dare tell me that you won't hesitate. Don't bother to try to give me that explanation that all aren't one and put words or thoughts into my mind when you have no idea where I'm coming from anyway. Especially since you're assuming you know where I'm coming from or thinking. Side note, I say mine and use I often because it's easier, using I just for clarity's sake. In truth, this applies to most people, many people, people in general, since I'm not the only person who deals with these experiences. I just use my own voice and stories to tell others what it's like for me and anyone who potentially relates, to give voice to those who can't speak for whatever reason, to help you understand someone who may have lived a life like mine or a specific experience. Maybe it's why I don't mind always expressing my attitude. Because yes, I do have attitude. I get fed up with the victim blaming, with people shaming, with all these bullies being placed on pedestals and silencing the ones who've been hurt, even now. It pisses me the hell off. So if someone wants to hate me or judge me or get annoyed by my attitude, you do you, boo. Hate me. When a man will say to me, don't judge all by one, I ask him where I said that. Where is he getting the impression that I'm judging all men by the ones who've done wrong? I adore the men in my life. I'm thinking if I did, I wouldn't have good men in my life. But I have amazing men in my life. Coincidentally, I have yet to get the answer because they know in truth I'm not. There is no judgment there. I have said it before. It is a pattern of behavior, a series of events. I am approaching you as a total stranger, and you are me. I have seen patterns from men who acted that way, spoke that way, behaved that way, and so I will happen to evaluate the scenario based upon those actions. And boo for you, I will actually not accept this bare minimum, low effort, just because you graced me with your presence and attention, Mr. High and Mighty Smugbum. I have plenty of attention, so that set the bar really high, and I had a great father. So you better learn to climb and be an achiever in your life. Otherwise, go after another. So when some stranger approaches me and is proceeding to act in the exact pattern that has led to the exact outcome I've experienced many times before, it's a pretty logical assumption that the result of those calculations is going to be the same preceding answer. A human, however, isn't a calculation. So those behaviors may potentially lead to a different outcome. But how will you know? Correct. Time and patience. And the person showing you that they're different. This includes me doing it for you. Why would you just allow anyone in your life, like me, unless I prove I belong there through time and patience? That's not something that can be rushed. That isn't something that can be talked to death. It's about actions, presence, trust, time, respect. You can communicate all you want, but that doesn't change the fact that I have known men for years, and then one day they just decided to take a normal friendship and try to turn it vulgar. I don't mean where we both agreed. I mean, I suddenly had a message that was incredibly rude, beyond the scope of anything I did to deserve it, or suddenly vulgar and crude, as if I was just a little random nobody online they may as well talk sexually to. Because that's the problem. A lot of people, not just men, are wolves in sheep's clothing. They will act one way and be completely different. This ex of mine being an example. He was a stand-up man. Note who he portrayed himself to be. Helped out with his community. Wanted to make me happy. Move me to his state. Marry me, I found out after he'd raped me. Didn't drink. Then suddenly, what made me start to become wary were those tiny little remarks he made. Like things would change once we lived together. That was never a question either. Hey, do you think you'd want to live with me? Should we move in together? It was a plan being put in place without my input. Don't get me wrong. If I'm in a relationship, how that is handled with him taking charge, I'm not entirely against when it mattered. More if I did get involved with that conversation eventually, This was a strategic plan I'd started to overhear him discussing with my mom behind my back about getting me to his state. Behind my back. Plans to manipulate me into getting me down to his state so I couldn't run off that very easy. Where I went, wait. This guy is talking like he is purposely going to try to get me out of state to visit him as some fun little trip, and then will not allow me to leave. Where the gut says this guy might just be lying to you about who he is. It was suddenly small comments around the fact that when someone did a friend of his wrong, not even him, he'd blown up her car. That's those comments I've mentioned that made me suddenly realize I wasn't safe with him. I wasn't safe around him. He had his interests at heart, not mine. I needed to get away from him. Many would say, you should have just cut it off right then. You know what? I am so incredibly glad that you live and have known a life where that's where your mind goes and you think it is so easily done. I am beyond happy that you have experienced events that actually have led you to believe that something like that is just super easy and not dangerous, not scary, not anything but just cut and go. Because it tells me you have lived a safe and or fortunate life. You have had good experiences in your life that it's an easy option for you to consider. I didn't have that option at the time, nor the safety net, nor the people I could have counted on for safety. And my mom especially was quite the fan of his. So having her in your corner meant even worse for me. Also remember that I was in my 20s and not mindful of things like that, how to handle them. I was not a grown adult. I was in the midst of severe abuse. So no, it wasn't that easy. I had heard that he was going to go back home for a visit. He needed to. It wasn't a choice. So I purposely started to withdraw little by little and planned the exit that would protect me from harm and be safe. Needless to say, as much good as I'd done, I ended up being raped. So, yay. I told someone recently that it may also sound insane, but I don't care. Part of how I'd healed myself. I am not fully healed and am still very much always in that space for the record. Was to go to an extreme space and accept some responsibility. Not of the act itself. My mind wasn't okay after I realized what happened and after the shock wore off. See, they don't usually discuss that. The disappearance inside self, the retreat away, the checkout, the shock settling in because you can't handle what's happening or happened. That I haven't seen discussed. My body was there, but I'd been gone, somewhere else. Once I'd told him no, my mind said, "We've been here before. You're not safe. Just go away, let him do as he wants. It won't end well if you fight." I can still hear some stuff in my ear. I don't feel him. I don't remember his touch. I don't remember much of anything for the act, except his words in my ear and the pain. And even that is like something checked out of me. Shock settled in, and it took me around 6 months to even remember the events. Even now, sometimes I'll have a new thing pop up and hit me really hard. Then I have the fun of processing it. It was probably a self-defense mechanism kicking in. So many say learn self-defense because it'll protect you. I knew it. I learned it. They made it mandatory for girls in junior high when I went. Read that again and really process it. They made it mandatory for the girls to take self-defense in junior high. The guys got to have a free period to play, but the girls were to take a self-defense course during gym. They say that will protect you. But have you ever heard of the phrase, "I froze"? Uttered by people in the field, the military, the police, it doesn't matter. They say it's why you are trained to not think and simply do in the moment. That the repeated action will take over and you don't have to worry, you'll be safe. You should protect yourself. It's on you to, after all. When you repeat an action in the moment, it'll be default to happen. We are sadly not robots. How often do you see them say, if all else fails, it's okay if your body takes over and shuts off? It's probably so you won't fight, so you won't die. Not often. How often do they say, even if you learn all of that, learn to kickbox as I was around that time, that still it may not help you? That's not so pretty to say, not empowering to people, not safe for people to hear. That no matter what you know, or how good you are at it, if you're faced with a partner doing it, you may still get hurt, and most likely will. Because by the time you realize what is taking place, they have the upper hand, and you do not. No matter what you do, no amount of training will prepare you for that. No amount of repeated actions will ensure that your mind won't look upon someone and go, wait. That the majority of rape cases aren't some random guy grabbing you to take you into a back alley. So of course, knowing how to evade, scream, and use pepper spray is going to work in those situations. They don't want you to know that. So when those of us don't fight back or aren't able to, those of us who know and do all the things and still end up hurt, those of us who check out to save ourselves, or because we've been there before and we shut down, we feel even more shame. After all, it's all on us, isn't it? We're the ones who didn't do something to prevent it. We're the ones who got hurt. More because we confided what we went through to this very person who earned our trust. And this is now the product of that trust. Especially considering that I didn't listen to the gut instinct that said, don't stay alone with him. The mental image in my head that showed what may take place. No, Kim, that's just because of the things you've been through before. That's just because you're picky and you're judging him based on others. You're being too hard on him. Let it go. Give him a chance. So I let my guard down, since I was the issue, clearly. It wasn't him. It wasn't my gut. That's what I take responsibility for. The action? No. How can I take responsibility for what I didn't control? The events that led up to it? Those I take some responsibility for, because those were within my control. And by taking back that aspect and saying I overlooked my gut instinct, I talked myself out of it, then I can firmly grip that. I can latch onto that as something tangible to work on and improve on and learn from. It's something I control and can can hold control over. It's what I can say. I did do that. I shouldn't have, but I did. More importantly, I learned not to. So it allowed me to see something around it that I had control over. And it's not just some random chaotic event. It allowed me to heal something, to start somewhere. Men don't understand when I will discuss it that it wasn't just one singularity either. This is a man I had built trust for. I had opened up about my sexual abuse with. I rushed into it and didn't allow the proper time to truly get to know him. I allowed him to rush me, my mom, myself too. I wasn't in a good space. I was in a needy space that I didn't notice or control or have the wherewithal to do anything about. Since I didn't recognize that I was lonely in forcing those guards down for that reason too. Thinking like everyone always has pushed. I'm the one with the issue. I'm the one who is too picky. I'm the one who isn't giving people chances. I'm the one who is in the wrong. Me. So having built that bit of trust and not taken the proper time and patience to learn who he was, I was hurt for it. My entire life was destroyed because of it. This wasn't a one and done event. I lost friends. I lost my job from the panic attacks that came because of it. I lost my income. My entire life changed. I changed. I got to hear all of that too. You changed. You lost the best part of yourself. You don't want to do anything anymore. He probably just didn't know what he was doing. If you don't tell the police, you're as responsible for him hurting another as he is. You probably just regretted having sex with him, so lied about it. Those are just some of the amazing, supportive comments I heard. It wasn't even the one event that did the damage. It was the panic attacks and all that came after. I lost my trust in men for a long time. I lost the ability to have a normal, healthy relationship. People may argue that, but the likelihood of me having one is slim. It doesn't mean I can't. It means that it will take a special type of man to be able to enter that dynamic with me and remain calm and steady in the face of all that happened to me. A lot of things still crop up around it. There are plenty of things I can heal about myself, but to heal things within a dynamic and those challenges, one has to be in a dynamic. I have grown tired of those who essentially say, unless you're healed, you shouldn't be in a relationship. As I have mentioned plenty, until you love yourself, you shouldn't be with someone. So everyone who is in a relationship, love themselves. They're all healed and perfect or healthy people? Exactly. It's basically shaming those who struggle and say you aren't allowed a relationship. You can't have a relationship. You can't be loved because you don't love yourself. Since there is something wrong with you and you're not a perfect person, you'll never get a relationship. This bad thing happened and you're trying to heal it? Oh, it will take many years, and actually engaging in relationships to do so, well, you're out of luck. You have to remain single. Oh, for years and years more when another re-damages you or you backslide? So sorry, them's the rules. Ain't nobody gonna love you. You ain't allowed to have no relationship, you naughty little shameful bean. Go back to your corner for having something wrong. We are not these perfect individuals, and I know very few healthy adults who have relationships. They're often the ones who are married, have been married a long time, and have seen those struggles through with the person who's chosen to work with them and remain in a relationship. They're the ones in a dynamic who is helping them to heal as they are the other, because they're each helping the other. It is why my best friend and I have endured a lot too. It's a choice we're both making to constantly work through issues on ourselves and in our dynamic. We talk them out. We address them. We don't abandon the other when we're upset and give each other the silent treatment or leave and just randomly pop up and ignore the elephant in the room. We talk. We stay. We sort out the problem, and then we move on together. I often say it straight out that she is the reason I have grown into this person I am. She says the same about me. It's why we've both helped one another. We talk, we communicate, we work things out. One cannot do all of that while one is alone if the intention is to be in a relationship. I'm not saying therapy is wrong if it helps you, or if you find it to be worthwhile. I'm saying, as I always do, therapy only helps some. It's not a cure-all. If you have a bad therapist, they're going to damage you potentially more than help. I have heard too many stories about that. Therapists who end up making people feel worse about themselves because the person wasn't good, or someone tried it and found it didn't actually help, or the people who have been in therapy their entire lives and still are majorly screwed up. For me personally, I look at it from a standpoint of, if you're with someone for over 20 years and you're still needing their guidance, are they really helping you or ensuring you're needing them? This doesn't apply to all cases, obviously. More so those with severe mental health issues who may need ongoing treatment. It's what I've addressed by those online who do relationship advice or mentoring, coaching, life help. If you still need their help after years and years of the exact same thing over and over and over again, they're not really doing you well. You're not gaining the help you should be. A leader creates a leader, someone who doesn't need them. If you still need them, they're ensuring you do. Even our parents are and were meant to teach us that it's okay to be independent and be out there. Parents who squashed that every chance that they could, as my own mother did, they do you no well. People often look at how I behave and never see the millions of times I was branching out and she would crush it. I was engaging in things to be independent and she was ensuring it didn't happen. If it did, it was under her watch, how she wanted, when she wanted, and it looked as she did. That I managed to maintain any independence is shocking, but again, I'll credit my balance point, which is my dad. But a guy entering into a dynamic with me and dealing with the fact that I was raped is a reality. It's never going to go away, nor all of the abuse and trauma I've been through. just as much as I will face the same for him, knowing he will have trigger points because of it, things to work on or through. That is one event that changes someone's life. Not just the one event, but everything that happened after. Everything that I dealt with as a fallout. Everything that altered how I felt, thought, saw myself. That is on top of the rest. Because no matter how much healing I do on myself, or get to the point of, I will be forever healing this one event and things that come up because of it. We are never done healing. We are never done being triggered. I don't care who tells you that we are. We aren't. We will never be. We are constantly being re-damaged by things that happen in our lives. We are constantly being re-triggered, re-traumatized. Friends inadvertently do it. Relationships. Even that random person online who says something to us that hits the right button we didn't know we had. And suddenly we're hit with a ton of past stuff that we didn't prepare for dealing with. People hide themselves too well. More so if they're used to it. A con, manipulator, abuser. Hell, many still believe my mom was a good person. You're not a good person if you're an abuser and have a good few moments. Everyone is capable of a few good moments. What you do when nobody is looking and how you treat those who can do nothing for you is a testament to your character. With my mom, she was kind to strangers because then if she needed someone to verify her quote-unquote good person status, she had plenty there to pull from. Yes, she may have been good to you, but she may also have been manipulating you and conning you the whole time. She may have been good to you, but that doesn't discount that she threw her daughter down on the ground and choked her until she couldn't breathe because I interrupted TV time. Just like I was attacked for my entire life. I hear you all the time. You never let me hear TV. This is only on once. You're always on. Why is it always about you? When the TV is on, I don't want to hear you. Shut up. I don't want to hear you talking. I hate your voice. I always hear it. Often after she asked me a question, then I answered truthfully, which went against what she said. So instantly, it was a shut up. It's the long-term relationships that determine who you are, if you have them too. And again, that's a general word, not strictly romantic. My ex, as I said, had acted as if he was a really good, kind guy, telling me stories about him helping shovel driveways for the older people around his town during winter, how he helped out this person or that person. Then, as we got closer, and before I began to make my exit, those little slips would punch me in the gut. One distinct one that was made so casually, I don't think he realized it, and I don't think many would think much about, was how he'd been really good to my dogs. Until one night, a remark hit that really punched my gut. I had a Peekapoo Pom mix, Amber, who was only about 10 pounds or so, and my Aussie. I'd brought Amber with me that night to visit with him. And suddenly she was about to use the bathroom inside. She was not a dog who did this either, which also should have said something to me that she was nervous. My Aussie began to show me that. If he tried to hug her, she freaked out. A dog that anybody could touch, except for those who weren't good people. 2 people I'd seen her do that with in about 14 years. He was one. But my Donkey was about to have an accident, and he quickly scooped her up to take her out, and he made such a casual little remark, saying that this is why dogs belonged outside, and that she would be thrown outside later on. I can't remember the exact words right now, but that's the gist of it. I kept having that repeat in my head over and over again, on top of the other stuff. It was a contradictory statement to what he'd always said to me. It was a flinch inside of me when I heard that wouldn't go away. A warning bell to pay attention. He'd been giving me the impression way too much of a man who liked dogs, and since I had them as indoor dogs, there wasn't an issue. But when the moment came that he let down his guard and got irritated super easy, also something I noticed, the words popped out. The curtain dropped. Like how I found out he wasn't a non-drinker at all. He'd lied to earn points with me because for whatever reason, people believe that me not drinking ever means I look down on people who do, and I don't. I'd found out not only was he not such a good neighborly person, but he loved getting drunk and causing chaos in his area with the authorities. I'm sure some girls would be like, woo! But as a person who's dealt with the authorities and court system all her life, that is chaos, and I'm not interested. I avoid authorities and court systems and don't want to put myself into those places if possible. It's not sexy to me. It's childish and immature. I only found out about that almost a year after, because people reveal who they are in time, not within 1 week. The remark around the dogs was so casual that again back then I was young and hadn't yet learned the gut instinct around small things like that. We're always right. I cannot stress this enough. If anything makes your gut pay attention, if anything triggers something inside of you, pay attention and address it. Hindsight and all, I should have said, wait, what? That instant, if not soon after. But then, as mentioned, this was one of those small triggers that I began to pay attention to. To protect my safety, I'd been slowly trying to extract myself. But I do pay attention to little things I notice that others don't realize I do. They see sweet, playful girl and don't see the cunning intelligence behind it to put a pin in behaviors like rushing, like lack of patience. If you are trying to build something with someone, where is the rush? You're building a foundation, not a deck of cards. You're scared of wasting time? How are you wasting time if you want to spend potentially your life with them, as a friend or otherwise? You think getting to know someone is a waste of your time or theirs? How so? Because you're not fully committed to that person. Because you're not really interested in that person. Because deep down you don't actually think this person is it for you. You are way too scared to actually take time to get to know them, even if it goes nowhere. You want to rush? Awesome. Plenty out there for you to rush with. Just accept that in 5 or 10 years, when things fall apart miserably, That's also what happens with rushing to build on a shaky foundation. Lies are revealed. People show you who they really are. Walls drop. Not everything is wonderful and easy. Reality sets in, and it comes with a lot of weight that will crush a shaky foundation. Some have great outcomes. For them, I'm beyond happy and always happy to watch and learn from. So when this guy I'd talked with online spoke about respecting boundaries and how it was important I have them, and he agreed with me, I was going, he gets it. This might be a really good guy. But then you see something happened. His patience ended with my boundaries when they got in his way. When that boundary began, suddenly I was a problem, and I was demanding only he compromise. And relationships shouldn't be about only one person having to compromise everything for the other person. I went, So 1 week prior, you were respectful of this boundary. Said it was really good I had boundaries like that. And now it's a problem because you're not getting what you want. When I was very clear, I didn't know how long it would take to be comfortable with him because it cannot be predicted. Everyone is different. Every interaction isn't the same. Today, I could be comfortable with a total stranger. Tomorrow, I'm still building that with another I've known for years. I have seen this take place a little too often. Their patience ends where your boundary begins. Anyone who gives you grief with a boundary is attempting to adjust your goalposts to give them a bit more leeway, a bit more space to take control of, to gain the upper hand over you, to ensure they know that your boundary isn't actually as solid as it should be, which means any time that you try to stop them, they now know they only need to push up against that wall to find out it's made of paper. If it's a hardcore boundary and line for you, don't adjust it. If you have seen time and again that this works for you, don't adjust it. If you are given grief for that boundary by another because it doesn't work for them, don't adjust it. Relationships come with compromise. But remember that a real relationship isn't built within a week of knowing someone. I don't care if you spend all day, every day, with them and you talk all of that time. I don't care if you're going through something with them there. You still don't know the core of that person and what they hide within a week. Exceptions, blah, blah, blah. A person isn't who they tell you they are. A person is who they reveal themselves to be, and the lies they choose to hide from people. A lie can just be keeping something to themselves that they don't talk about. A person is who they act like when nobody is looking, and when the days are hard, when they're exhausted and tired and have nothing left to give. They're who they are when they are at their happiest and wide open with everyone. They're not just this 1 week of events. They're not the person they last were when you interacted. They're the sequence of behaviors, the events they've experienced, the relationships they've had, the failures and mistakes they've made. They're a product of their history and their lives and all those they've come across. We don't truly know anyone and may never know them. But meeting a total stranger and convincing yourself that you know them and then get angry with them for not behaving as you wanted them to? Silly. You're mad that they didn't live up to that fantasy of them in your mind. Don't get angry at the person who has decided this is definitely a boundary people can't cross for me anymore. Because the opposite of this is self-sacrifice. And that hasn't done me well ever before. I have decided that this for me is a line I don't want others to cross unless they have earned the right to. We don't get to dictate what works for someone else or not. I don't get to determine your boundaries either. What I have boundaries for, like time and patience, you could be the total opposite for. If that's what works for you, and this works for me, there's nothing wrong with either. We are both in the right because it's what works for us. Another saying that boundary is wrong isn't saying much about us, but about them. You are the one who has lived your life and finally gained the strength to even put up a boundary. Relationships are about compromise, yes, but not about compromising our safety, our mental health, the core of our being for another. They are not spaces where you'll say, you know what? Since you don't like that I'm quiet a lot, I'm going to constantly be talking for you. I'm going to engage in more activities that you enjoy, even though I have a ton of anxiety around those specific things, and they make me physically ill. But hey, if it makes you happy, let me sacrifice my happiness to ensure you're comfortable and happy. They're not about bulldozing each other's happiness and safety, overlooking what makes your partner happy, and only caring about your own. So force them to sacrifice things they enjoy for your benefit. What many discount about a proper boundary, and not just someone throwing something up there for kicks, is that a boundary has taken time to learn. It's taken time for someone to get to the point and have courage to implement. My time and patience boundary is not something that I have suddenly whipped up to punish people. This isn't something that I decided, oh hey, I'm going to test guys with. This is something that over time and from many experiences, both online and off, I have learned and discovered that, okay, this is definitely a hardcore line in the sand for me. I have seen that people who have issues with it are generally unsafe for me, whether my mental health or physical. I have learned over time that anyone who doesn't want to get to know me as a friend and build on that is not a person that will work for me in my life, because I have said it all the time. I am looking for the man who stays, a best friend. Do you believe that going from strangers to married tomorrow is how I find that? I'm being extreme to make a point, to make it actually impactful, since it seems many don't really pay attention to those tiny, subtle words and sentences. They'll argue. They'll find reasons to ensure I know I'm in the wrong. That I really enjoy. But until you've known me a while, you don't know that's something I deal with, and have a long time either, That I've been criticized all my life for nearly every single aspect of who I am. That I've been abused and hurt and degraded down to absolutely nothing. That trust is rare to find for me. That I think every single second that person is going to go from I love you to you're an absolutely worthless piece of shit. And they will tear apart my life and absolutely trash me. Because yes, that is the life I am used to and the people who were around me. I'm only just making sense of it all. Only just finally learning to put boundaries and lines in place that keep me safe. And because of it, I'm only just at that point where I have really good people in my life who are good people, loyal, kind, honest, open. They are not people who make me feel worthless. They are not people who 1 minute are sweet, and if I say the wrong word, they brutalize me and degrade me and try to make me feel like nothing in the next. Then tear apart my life to punish me for their upset. They don't abandon me and think I'm lying when I'm telling the truth. Because through time and patience, both sides have learned to trust and respect the other side. My default, until another proves otherwise, is they are not loyal to me. They will abuse me, hurt me, leave me, and I no longer apologize for it. I no longer take on another's problems with me in the way I've been raised, when all they've known is kindness in people, or they've been able to heal themselves. When my abuse was not one event, it was built on a base of abuse and neglect and abandonment and rape, sexual assault, stalkers by those I trusted. Those who were meant to be safe and protect me. Those I opened up to only to have it used against me. Those who were supposed to be my biggest safety net. It is now why I'm wide open. Because when I was careful, I had the ability to be hurt by information used against me. But now I'm open and don't hide what I've been through. It's why I say you can destroy me, abuse me, hurt me, destroy my life, ruin everything about me. But I've been there before, countless times. And if you don't have the time or patience to handle that or me, there's plenty of people in this world you can get to know. I'm used to being on my own and not being found the person worth sticking around for. I'm used to being single. It's not because I haven't had choices either. It's going to take a special person to change that. To make me feel it's worth trusting another to the point I enter into that dynamic, but making me feel miserable for all the abuse and trauma that has left scars and broken pieces inside of me, makes you the exact same as those who did the harm to begin with. I am a broken mess. I know that I am. My wings were broken down long ago. They are dingy, and I'm sitting here by myself, slowly attempting to fix each feather. I make it no apologies for it. I know I'm not easy. I know I'm not the fun and exciting girl. I'm the serious, deep overthinker who won't entertain just anyone anymore, because that's how I got hurt. Those are the people I rushed into dynamics with. I have set a line in the sand, and if it does not work for you, you have millions of other choices for you. But always, always remember that if their patience ends where your boundary begins, that's why you have the boundary. You just discovered someone to either not have in your life or be very cautious of when you deal with them. Because the people who have problems with the boundaries of another, which is meant to protect them and for their safety, is the person who potentially would hurt you and just figured out that you're not going to be so easily taken advantage of. So it irritated the hell out of them. In Gavin de Becker's The Gift of Fear, the most powerful passage was the one that said that the predators look for the one who will cave on just one tiny thing. Because the moment you give way that tiny bit, they have just targeted you as prey they can hurt and violate. They'll try to gain another inch. And for every inch gained, they have seen you are their next victim. The guy who approaches you and says he can help you open that door while your hands are full, then says he can bring your groceries up with you to your door, and you say okay, despite your gut saying no. I cannot stress enough how that book is so important to read if you want to learn small things people do to take power from you and establish you'll allow them to, so they can prey on your weakness. Every single tiny thing we can do, especially if you're a woman reading this, to protect ourselves and add a layer of that on top of another is vital. It doesn't mean we won't be victimized or overlook things. It means it's less likely. It's just that one bit extra in our arsenal. For me, that's super important, since I never had people protecting me and have always had to stand up for self. Predators are the ones who don't like your boundaries. Not good people, not safe people. More to come. Thank you for reading and subscribing. I'm beyond grateful you chose to spend this time with me. What are your thoughts? Engage with me and start a conversation. Just don't be rude about it. And as always, your shares are so incredibly appreciated. Share with anyone you think may enjoy this. Word of mouth is the best form of expanding the reach, so this reaches the eyes and ears of whoever may enjoy it. My donation link, if you found value in this and would like to support me to help keep this going, is ko-fi.com/Kimberly Sue Iverson. That's ko-fi.com/Kimberly Sue Iverson. Every little bit helps, so thank you for your generosity. Remember, kings and queens, everyone is fighting battles inside nobody can see. Who are you willing to see today? And who are you willing to let see you today? I hope someone can bring a smile to you today, or you can bring a smile to someone else. If you'd like to follow me on social media, you are more than welcome to, and I'd love to connect you there. For Instagram, Facebook, and Threads, I have to use Kimberly Sue Iverson. There is also a page for Redhead Rewriting Reality on Facebook, but for X, Twitter, Blue Sky, Telegram, and most other socials, you can find me under Kimber Bites. That's KIMBERBITES, which is what I normally use. Do you like Snapchat? Feel free to add me under Feisty Kitty. That's FEISTYKITTY. I usually try to use the same picture across the board, but you can always ensure you have the right person by checking my website link cave, which is KimberlySueIverson.com/link-cave. Want a chance for your story to be featured? Whether you're an author starting out, published and want to boost, have a tale of old to tell that has been passed down through family, or just want to share your own life experience, get in touch. Email stories to read at KimberlySueIverson.com. That's stories to read at KimberlySueIverson.com.